Be the Talk, episode 239, featuring Jeremy Rochford. Welcome to Be the Talk. We go behind the talk 7 days a week for tips and techniques to help you change the world. I'm Nathan Eckel, and a talker myself. I'm interviewing others who change the world with their talk. You can too, even if you've never given a talk before. Let's get started with today's show. We are live with Jeremy Rochford. Jeremy,
hi.
Are you ready to talk?
I am ready to talk.
Jeremy Rochford, upon losing 200 pounds and having kept them off for 15 years, founded Outthinking Obesity, which offers everyday people a unique weight loss approach in which Jeremy guides them to work smarter to get fit rather than harder. Jeremy Rochford, welcome to the talk.
Oh, thanks for having me, Nathan.
I love that you always look in the bright side, and you realized early that laughing was a way not just to de-stress, but it was a way to possibly get fit. And really your story, just to summarize all this stuff, you were a kid that grew up obese, and you started asking better questions to systematically look at the inputs and outputs of weight loss and nutrition, all of that stuff. Congratulations for keeping that weight off for 15 years. Jeremy Rochford, welcome to the talk.
Well, thank you for having me. Thanks for the nice introduction.
Well, you're welcome. So it's your talk is called Laughing My Pants Off. Can Humor Cure Obesity? It was at TEDx Antioch. Love the title, love the format, love just the way that you brought us all there. And I love that you tongue in cheek for sure from a formerly obese kid, you called obesity the honor roll of overweightness. Now, obviously we're going on really thin ice here, but I thought it was funny, mainly because I stepped on the scale this morning and thought I had lost a little bit, and I didn't either. So please, Jeremy, take us behind the talk.
Well, there was so much good behind it. The heart of it really was digging into the layers underneath of why I was using humor. I was always made fun of because I was always the overweight kid. And I think you develop that as a coping mechanism. But there was a point in my life where I got made fun of while on a treadmill trying to lose weight. And I made fun of the situation. It was a very small, pragmatic shift where rather than making fun of me, I made fun of the situation, which allowed me to control it, which then allowed me to control the rest of my journey. And the talk is really about learning what was it about that moment that was different from all the other moments I had made fun of myself. And then hopefully imparting that wisdom to anyone who could use it.
Yeah, well, and that was a powerful piece of your talk when you talked about, you had used humor in a self-depreciating way. You had used humor as a way to beat people literally to the punch, to avoid being bullied, to kind of own up for kind of the elephant in the room, my words, not yours. And then when you actually did the hard thing, you showed up at the gym, you did the best workout you possibly could, and then you realized you were having, if I remember correctly, you're having some sort of a wardrobe malfunction right there in the gym. And then when everybody looked at you, you said basically, hey, the second peak isn't going to be free or something to that nature. And then that was when the moment hit. You realized you were using humor proactively, not reactively. And as a defense mechanism, you were using it to connect and to take charge of the situation. So can you take us a little bit behind that moment? Because that's really the moment predicated of your entire talk was built upon, Jeremy.
Yeah, and this is going to sound a little cheesy. I'm a huge hockey fan and a huge fan of Herb Brooks and the 1980 USA Olympic hockey team. And his mentality to beat the Russians at the time was not to defend them, but to attack them because no one was willing to attack them. That was their weakness. And in that moment, it was one of those rare scenarios where I wasn't using humor to sort of cower and embrace myself to lick my wounds and tell me it would be better, but rather I used humor as the offensive, and it took control of the situation. And just seeing that one moment work made me think, wow, if I can control literally the most awkward moment in my life and come out of it ahead, what else could I control? And from there, I was able to control my time management, which is so important in the fitness process. I was able to control my caloric intake. I was able to control my emotions. It was just that one pivotal moment of realizing what's possible that made me start to question, well, what else is possible?
Oh, well, I mean, you're opening up a bunch of cans right there. So, I mean, time management. What does time management have to do with self-management and then, weight management or fitness?
To me, it is where everything has to start. And that's one of the challenges when people look to lose weight. And no insults to anyone, but quite often people get weight loss information from people who've never lost weight. So they're not that familiar with the process. But the reality is we've all got 24 hours in a day, and you've got to question, how are some people using that to stay fit, and how are some people not using that to stay fit? So when you're able to take control of your time and realize that quite often I don't have time is an excuse, and you chart what time you do have, you realize that there is time unaccounted for, and you can make the best decision. Is getting fit worth trading for a Netflix marathon? Or better yet, what if you took your iPad and put it on your treadmill and all of a sudden, boom, you're doing both?
I like that thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. But being aware of it is where I think it starts. Because for me, that's one of the biggest challenges. As you get older, you may get a family, you may get kids, you may want an education, and your time window gets smaller and smaller and smaller. But when you make your time work for you, not just in fitness, but in life, all of a sudden you don't look back 5 years saying, well, where'd that 5 years go? Because you made your time work for you. And when your time works for you, much like the emotion of the treadmill, you're in control and anything is possible.
Powerful stuff. And I love the systematic way that you approach this, because it's just an input output system. So whatever your values are, if you like to do this stuff at home, if you are a solitary worker outer, then do it at home. If you like to binge on Netflix, do it, but make sure that you're doing it on a tread cycle, or get a tablet like this and do it from the spin bike, or whatever you're doing. So you can, but the key that's non-negotiable that I hear is taking responsibility and recognizing when we're doing an excuse, when we're doing something that is a procrastination, a put off, an excuse. The key piece is responsibility. Can you speak to that or summarize any of this stuff in your words, Jeremy?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with it all. And the way I frame it to my clients and the people I'm working with is I call it the snowflake principle. Because what do we know about snowflakes? Well, they're all different. But what happens at 33 degrees? They all melt. So in one way, they're all different, but in the other way, they're all the same. So is fitness. There are some non-negotiables. You're going to have to move more. You're going to have to invest your time in it, and you're going to have to be conscious of what you're eating. That's non-negotiable. If anyone wants to find fitness, that's what you have to do. How you get there, if you're a morning person, man, kill it in the morning. If you're not a morning person, kill it at the night. If you love staying at home, there's tons of internet-based workouts. If you need the accountability of people, Planet Fitness is like $10. Just don't go to Starbucks twice and boom, you've got the gym.
It's amazing.
There are so many options. And I think what makes it confusing for a lot of people is they're sold one way of weight loss. And if you don't do it that way, then you're going to fail. And yeah, that way you may fail. But as there's 4 different quadrants of personalities, there are many ways for fitness to fit into those personalities. And that's why I'm passionate about outthinking obesity. It's taking a moment to say, how did I get here? And what way is going to get me out of here in a manner that fits my personality best?
We've been enjoying this talk with Jeremy Rochford. His talk is called Laughing My Pants Off. Can Humor Cure Obesity? It's a TEDx Antioch talk. In a moment, we are going to be back with Jeremy Rochford for the Blitz Round. People ask, how could I start a 7-day-a-week podcast? It's because of what I've learned from my mentors. Some of the best mentors in history aren't around anymore. They've left hours of one-on-one mentoring behind in their books. Each month at Classics on Tap, I record a new chapter from a classic business book to help you make a difference. Download your first chapter at classicsontap.com. And we're back with the Blitz Round with Jeremy Rochford. Jeremy, you ready for this?
I am. Let's do it.
I'm going to ask you a series of either or questions related to the preparation and performance of your talk. The first question is this. Were you invited to speak or did you apply?
Hybrid. I was invited to apply.
Aha. Well, what does that look like?
I was in Toastmasters for about 6 months and had some success with the speeches I was given. And one of the people on the board came up to me and said, hey, were you aware of this scenario? TEDx Antioch is accepting applications. Really think you should do it. I know the person. I can get you the link. I can get you the information. I think you'd be great for it.
Congratulations. So are you a memorizer, improviser, or a blender, Jeremy?
I'm a blender. I come from, before I started speaking and doing comedy and with the weight loss, I did music. And so what we would do is we'd write set lists. And what I would do is I would take my points and I would make set lists. So for the TEDx scenario, I had the Gabby story where my daughter ended a hamster. And then I had that transition into Chris's study about lowering levels of stress in your life. And just, if I hit those points, I knew I'd be on point. But how I framed the story was based on the audience.
Love it. So what besides that is another tip, tool, or technique that you'd recommend?
Something when I first got into speaking that has echoed and was really affirmed in the TEDx scenario, in the TED scenario, a speaker friend of mine told me at the beginning was, you're not paid to speak, you are paid to shut up on time. And with the TED scenario, it's like, you've got 15 minutes. At 15:02, we are cutting it, and that's going to look terrible. So it's like, all right, my first draft was 30 minutes. And having dabbled in comedy's all about brevity.
Yeah.
And that really, and just those two in my mind, you're paid to shut up on time, and how many words here don't you need? So I'd say really practice to the clock. And if you can get that down, all of a sudden you don't have to worry about the clock. You can be in the moment. You can be unscripted because you've already paced yourself.
Oh, that's powerful. So congratulations. What was your final time?
I actually think it was like 1498.
All right. So you knocked it in half. 58,
sorry. But yeah, it was good. The curator used my initial talk, the initial draft of what not to do. So it was good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Powerful stuff. What was the most painful part? We're talking about cutting things out. What was the most painful part that you had to cut out?
We were encouraged to reference other TED Talks. And there's a TED Talk about body image in which her big idea is, can you be big and beautiful? And for me, it's not a question because it's already answered. I don't think anyone can definitively say what is beautiful and not. My concern with that mentality is there comes a time when science holds you accountable no matter how great you feel about yourself. And I feel that if you go to either end of the spectrum, either too light on fitness or too aggressive, you're just trading one set of shackles for the other. And at some point, if you don't find the balance, you're going to have to pay unfortunate dividends. And I really wanted to address that. I wanted to say that, you can't be big and beautiful. No one really ever questioned it. And if people are questioning it, then you need to get away from those people. They're toxic. But on the same foot, if you don't ever think about how your health is, there will come a time you'll be held accountable. And no matter how great you feel about yourself, your health will deteriorate. And that's unfortunate.
So self-management and self-esteem, and you're viewing those as kind of a continuum, and there's a healthy middle to be in.
I believe there is, and I found it. And I think that's one of the, I hate to use the word secret, but that's one of the things that have allowed me to keep the weight off for so long is, I don't have to walk into a room and compare myself to anyone else. I've accomplished what I want. I have a completely average body. Most people, when they hear that I've lost that much weight, they go, I'd have never known you had a problem. And that is the greatest compliment I could ever have, because when I started my journey, I was always the fat kid. I was always the elephant in the room, pun intended. And all I wanted was to be normal. And so now I walk into a room and I blend in. And if I stick out, it's because of my personality. And there's so much freedom behind that.
So this isn't normally a blitz round question, but I mean, I would love for you to speak to those of us, because whatever our size, whatever our weight is, all of us have stories. All of us have body image. And what could you say to Talk Universe right now that would really free us from for many of us, the effects of our own story that has held us hostage and kept us from being our best self?
I think the biggest challenge when it comes to fitness, that's a great question, by the way, thank you, is how we feel about ourselves. And if we're looking to get fit, I believe that science is the best measurement of it, because there are days where if you are at your largest weight, you think you look amazing. And there are other days where you're smallest weight and you think you look terrible. And if you base your goals in terms of fitness and health strictly on vanity, you'll be forever chasing a phantom and you will never attain that. And you'll be putting yourself in this purgatory where you can't win. And it's like rocking chair theory. You're doing a lot, but you're not getting anywhere. So give yourself the grace to realize that you're beautiful and you look good, and no matter what size you are. but you got to make your health impact paramount, because no matter who you are, there's someone who loves you. There's someone who wants you around for that extra 5, 10, 15, 20 years that you can add to your life. And even if it's just yourself, I mean, you can get off the benefits of fitness are widely documented. And I believe that the true ability to have success in it is to not be concerned about the vanity. Let that be a collateral benefit, but worry about what your triglycerides are, worry about what your body fat content is, worry about the health aspects. If you can nail those metrics, then the vanity will take care of itself, and you'll be like, dang, look how good I look.
We've been enjoying this overly philosophical blitz round with Jeremy Rochford. It's been awesome. If you want to check out his talk, you can go to BeTheTalk.com. Check out the link that we will put on our website. His talk is called Laughing My Pants Off, Can Humor Cure Obesity? We'll have a link right there. You can also go and connect with him at his website, JeremyRochford.com. It's R-O-C-H. It's R-O-C-H-F-O-R-D, JeremyRochford.com. And we'll be back with Jeremy in just a moment for the 10-second final word of advice. Everyone wants to change the world, but not everyone knows the first step. Before you can change the world with your talk, it has to be selected. So grab the templates, timelines, and tools that I use to get my talk selected at BeTheTalk.com. And we're back with Jeremy Rochford. It's time for the final word of advice.
If I were to give one piece of advice to speakers, it's genuinely practice your speech the way you're going to perform it. Because then you'll look completely natural. You'll be in the moment. You'll realize what words you stutter over, what words you step over. And I'd say even go as far as to put up a barrier so that you know stage cues, so that when you get on stage, nothing's foreign because you've already performed it, not just practiced it.
Jeremy Rochford, thank you so much for coming on the talk today and sharing your wisdom with Talk Universe.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to Be the Talk. For tips and resources to help you change the world, go to BeTheTalk.com. See you tomorrow.